Coming up on 5 Minute News. Biden begs lawmakers for stricter gun laws. Brad Raffensperger testifies in grand jury election probe. And Queen Elizabeth to miss out as Britain celebrates Platinum Jubilee. It's Friday, June 3. I'm Anthony Davis. President Joe Biden exclaimed enough over and over as he delivered an impassioned address to the nation imploring Congress to take action against gun violence after mass shootings he said had turned schools, supermarkets and other everyday places into killing fields. If legislators fail to act, he warned, voters should use their outrage to turn it into a central issue in November's midterm elections. Speaking at the White House on Thursday night, Biden acknowledged the stiff political headwinds after such efforts failed following past attacks. He repeated calls to restore a ban on the sale of assault-style weapons and high-capacity magazines, and said if Congress won't embrace all of his proposals, it must at least find a compromise, like keeping firearms from those with mental health issues, or raising the age to buy assault-style weapons from 18 to 21. This time, we have to take the time to do something, Biden said, calling out the Senate, where 10 Republican votes would be needed to pass legislation. For all the passion of Biden's address, and for all his big asks and smaller fallback alternatives, any major action by Congress is still a long shot. Adding a stark perspective to people's deaths, he noted that CDC data shows guns are the number one killer of children in the United States of America, ahead of car crashes. Over the last 2 decades, more school-aged children have died from guns than on-duty police officers and active-duty military combined, he said. Aware of persistent criticism from gun rights advocates, Biden insisted his appeal wasn't about vilifying gun owners or taking away anybody's guns. Georgia's top elections official appeared on Thursday before a special grand jury investigating whether former President Donald Trump and others illegally tried to meddle in the 2020 election in the state. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger was summoned to the Fulton County Courthouse, where the special grand jury had been meeting. Raffensperger arrived at the courthouse in downtown Atlanta on Thursday morning and left after more than 5 hours by another exit, avoiding reporters. Former President Trump directed his ire at his fellow Republican after Raffensperger refused to bend to pressure to overturn the votes that gave Democrat Joe Biden a narrow presidential election victory in Georgia. Raffensperger defeated a Trump-endorsed challenger in last month's Republican primary. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis said her investigation includes looking into a January 2021 phone call in which Trump pushed Raffensperger to find the votes needed for him to win Georgia. Raffensperger wrote in his book released last year, Integrity Counts, that he perceived Trump as threatening him multiple times during the phone call, a question that could ultimately be critical to whether some criminal charges could be brought. The special grand jury will not issue indictments, but is meant to further the investigation and make recommendations to the district attorney, who then decides whether to seek an indictment from a regular grand jury. Willis said the special grand jury will be able to issue subpoenas to people who have refused to cooperate otherwise. The jury, including 23 grand jurors and 3 alternates, can serve for up to a year. Britain celebrates the second day of Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee today, with the highlight a service of thanksgiving attended by senior royals and politicians that the 96-year-old monarch herself will miss due to ongoing mobility issues. The 4 days of events kicked off on Thursday when a happy-looking Elizabeth waved to crowds from the balcony of Buckingham Palace after a military parade and Royal Air Force flypast, and later led the lighting of the principal Platinum Jubilee beacon at her Windsor Castle home. The celebrations continue with the national service of thanksgiving at London's St Paul's Cathedral to pay tribute to the sovereign's 70 years on the throne. But the Queen, who has been forced to cancel a series of engagements recently because of episodic mobility problems, will be absent, pulling out late on Thursday and slightly taking the sheen off the day's party atmosphere. She will not be the only absentee. Her second son, Prince Andrew, has tested positive for COVID-19 and will also miss the service. That will potentially spare the royals some awkwardness, with Andrew's reputation shattered after he settled a US lawsuit in February in which he'd been accused of sexually abusing a woman when she was underage, claims he denied. Thursday marked not only the start of the Jubilee, but also the 69th anniversary of the coronation of Queen Elizabeth, who became Queen on the death of her father, George VI, in February 1952. She has now been on the throne for longer than any of her predecessors in 1,000 years, and is the third longest reigning monarch ever of a sovereign state. Opinion polls show she remains hugely popular and respected among British people. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.